So what you're looking at here are not Marvel Legends figures. These are a relatively new addition to the Marvel Universe, a company called ZD Toys, which to my understanding is officially licensed now to produce Avengers action figures. Now, the purpose of this video is I wanted to buy a few of these and compare them to Marvel Legends, so you'll see if it's worth it, if it's worth the value, and I'll give you some details of my ordering experience, how that went and everything. So anyway, let's begin with Hawkeye. And I wanted to point out all of the standard figures come with a very handsome stand here that you can put the figure in all kinds of poses, because it's an articulated stand where you can move it around and hold the figure, so it can definitely enhance the way you pose your figures. So this is Hawkeye. First, let me compare him to like a typical Marvel Legends figure. As you can see, it's the exact same scale, the exact same style of articulation, and so you could, at least you could consider purchasing these figures and putting them to fill out your collection. And that's what I wanted to do. So I chose 4 characters that I didn't have figures for. So I wanted to finish my core Avengers. So I got Hawkeye and Black Widow. And now let's take a look at this. First thing I noticed about Hawkeye is he had a bad paint app on his cheek. I tried to rub it off a little bit. It's lighter than it was when I first got it. It was dark brown, so it looks like he has a birthmark or dirt or some blood on his face or something. But I was pretty impressed with the facial sculpt, because it does look like Jeremy Renner a lot. Now, if you ever watch Ashen's channel, you can see knockoff Avengers figures, and you can see how the quality was really bad. But the quality on this isn't too bad. It feels it has some weight to it. Not quite as heavy as a Marvel Legends. It's a little bit cheaper feeling, but the joints feel tight. The articulation is there. The joints are not as good as Marvel Legends because, let's look at this. It's a cheaper type of joint. Whereas with Marvel Legends, you have joints that don't have any gaps in them. See, they have pieces to fill in the gaps. With these, they do have gaps. So they, like, instead of putting a piece here to fill that in when he bends his arm, it has a funny gap. And the same thing goes for the legs. And that's the case with all of them. The other thing I noticed is, like, here, the pistol, it's just molded on. Like, you can't take the pistol out of the holster. Like, these type of details that, like, on, well, let's see, like, on a Marvel Legends, generally speaking, you'll be able to, let's find another one. Like, you'd be able to, pull the weapon out of the holster and so forth. So all of the weapons and so forth are molded on. But that's not such a bad thing. He has a separate part here for his quiver, which is a piece that actually looks like you could put little arrows in it. And it does go on his back. And it stays on pretty well. Like, if I had some arrows, I could put them in here. The bow that it comes with is made out of fairly cheap plastic. It's pretty hard, so I wouldn't subject it to very much pressure. It would probably be pretty brittle and break. The bow looks pretty good. So what I would say is this is a good figure to fill out your collection for display. I don't think it would hold up to a lot of play. I think a lot of movement would break the parts off, or the joints might break or crack. So I'd recommend these if you wanted to save some money and purchase the Marvel figures that you want, and but for display mostly, not really for too much posing, because I think you would strain these joints too much. But I think they look pretty. Excuse me. I think they look pretty good for display. So at least Hawkeye does. Aside from that paint app problem there, I'm pretty impressed. The colors are a little different than his regular outfit. And another thing I noticed with ZD Toys and some of the other companies, and you can access these through safely by ordering on eBay. Just Google, do search for ZD Toys, and you can find all of these. They range from $12 or less, or depending. I mean, some cost more if you have them shipped without their packaging. They can come pretty cheap. That's something to consider. In all cases, these are less than brand new Marvel Legends. They're gonna come to you in a styrofoam box wrapped in plastic. There's not going to be, unless you order it with the packaging, but that costs significantly more in shipping. So it's a way to save money and fill out your collection. So let's look at some of the other ones here. So this is Black Widow. And once again, she comes with I really do like the stand. Captain America Civil War. It is officially licensed, so you don't have to worry that you're buying bootlegs or anything. Now, with this Black Widow, obviously that doesn't look like Scarlett Johansson. This looks like a comic book Black Widow face that I think I've seen on other figures, but the body is from the movie. It has a gun belt, but they sort of separated the strap from the guns, and I guess that's for movement, and it doesn't look bad. She has two pistols, but they're molded on. Like, you can't pull the pistols out, and they'd be very tiny if you could. But she does have her little batons that she fights with in the end game. She has the same gaps in the joints. Although, I mean, his knees look pretty bad when you bend them, but her knees don't look as bad. There is still that gap, but there is a kneecap here. It's not bad. The outfit looks pretty good. It's a different shade than Marvel Legends. Obviously, it's not the right face, but I don't know why they couldn't get Scarlett Johansson's face for this figure, and they had to resort to this one. It also had a bad paint problem on the forehead, and I tried to rub most of it off, but you can still see sort of a stain, but that's forgivable. I'm not one of those crazy people that's like, if there's a blemish on my action figure, I'm going to lose it or something. So, but it's not a bad figure. Once again, I'm saying this is a cheap alternative to Marvel Legends. If you want to fill out your core Avengers, if you don't mind that it doesn't look like Scarlett Johansson, and if you can deal with some paint problems, then that might be worth the savings. Another thing I want to point out is the shipping speed. This came really fast from China. I mean, I ordered this, and these things were here in just a couple weeks. I mean, they mean business. They shipped it quickly. They shipped it carefully, and everything that was in the photograph, I got. One thing you have to watch for is you may find these same figures in other listings with more accessories. So I'm not sure if I got the ultimate version or not, but some of these figures might be different as you look in different sites. So just keep in mind, just do your research when you order these. So here is Doctor Strange with his Endgame stand, which is pretty well printed. It doesn't work so good with him because of his cape. Doctor Strange has more accessories than the other ones. First, he has his little power portal thingies, and these work because he has two sets of hands, and one set of hand has little pegs, so you can actually you can put these on because there's a place to, and they look really good. So, but then, and they hold on really good. So you have these hands, and you also have some, like, magic hands or whatever, doing like that kind of spell, and then you have some fists for if you wanted to have him fight. But I think I'm just gonna stick with these hands. And he comes with his cape. which is pretty solid. It's fairly stiff, but it does fit on him. The detailing is basic. It's molded in one color, and it just has two little lightly painted gold parts. And then we can see the figure itself. It does resemble Benedict Cumberbatch. The beard is not very dark. The articulation is what you'd expect. The joints have the gaps in them again. Of course, he's wearing this robe, so the articulation is a little bit kind of hindered. I think you could take it off, it looks like, but I'm not going to. He's kind of basically painted in the same shade of blue, except a little bit of brown on the boots. And he has his Infinity Stone necklace. But they got Benedict Cumberbatch's face just right, which is probably just using the Marvel Legends scan that they did of him. So I think Doctor Strange looks pretty good. And there is a lot of posing that you can do with this. And I think he looks best with the little portals. Personally, I think that's the best way to pose him. They also had pretty much all the other basic characters, like they had War Machine and Falcon and Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Vision. Your basic characters, not. But then you keep looking and you'll come across like a Tom Holland Peter Parker that you can't find here, and I'm like, with an excellent face sculpt. Or you'll find other characters like a Mysterio Unmasked, or characters that never even made it to the United States. So really explore these and see what you can find and fill out your collection with some, like with the Legos. You can find amazing Lego-like minifigures that in all respects look just like Legos, if you don't mind, searching for them. And they're cheaper, and I mean, it's just up to you. I mean, some purists probably would scoff at this, but I think it's kind of fun. Now, I want to save the best for last. This is the ZD Toys Thanos, and let me tell you, this is one impressive figure. This is the main one I wanted to get. I wanted an end-game Thanos that also could wear an Infinity Gauntlet. Knowing that he didn't really wear this particular gauntlet in the movie, I still wanted it. And boy, did they come up with a good figure here. This Thanos has some weight to it. It might feel a little cheaper, but when you consider how much it would cost to get the Build-A-Figure for Thanos versus this one, and how much you'd be saving by getting this with all of these fine details, with this fantastic face sculpt. Some people say that his shade is too dark, but I don't agree. I think he looks great. The sword is movie accurate, and the Marvel Legends version is not. So they win on the sword. The articulation is good. There's a lot of range of movement. They even added the ability to move his tunic around so you could have more leg movement and put him in more poses. Now, it still has those weird gap joints, which, it's not the greatest thing, but if you can get over that, it's really a good figure. Now, here's the Infinity Gauntlet, but if you don't want to have him with the Infinity Gauntlet, it's really easy to put this alternative hand on. It's quite easy. My warning is, as always, these are probably better for display, so I wouldn't do it too many times, or you might end up tearing something or cracking something. This is just a good display figure. I mean, I'm not a fan of some of the cheap ways, but this is why you're saving your money. Because, believe it or not, filling out these joints adds a lot to the price of these figures for Marvel Legends. And I love Marvel Legends, but I'm not going to pay $150 for a Thanos Build-A-Figure if I can pick one of these up for $20-something, or even less. He also comes with an alternate hand, I couldn't get it on. I think the peg hole is a little too tight, but I'm sure it could be done. You might have to use a hair dryer or something. But I think that's just for holding the sword, but I'm not really interested in using it. And his helmet, which fits perfectly, it looks really good on him. And I mean, no complaint with that. Some people said that some of the gold paint does rub off a little bit on his head when you take the helmet on and off, but that doesn't bother me too much. I mean, like I said, I'm going to say it again. These are really for display purposes to fill out your collection, and I wouldn't recommend heavy play or lots and lots of changing of poses or lots and lots of swapping of limbs. I think that you'll be risking tearing it up. You don't need that other hand because he can hold this sword very well with the hand he came with. The only change I made was putting the Infinity Glove on him. I'm sort of obsessed with the Infinity Gauntlet, so I wanted him to have it on no matter which Thanos it was. And I like this figure. It stands really good. There are no peg holes in the feet, unlike Marvel Legends. I don't believe any of these have peg holes in the feet. But that's okay. They do come with a stand that Marvel Legends don't come with. So for the money, I'm gonna say, if you want to save some money on your Marvel Legends collection, then give ZD Toys a try. Google it, go to eBay, and see about getting some characters cheaper than what you'd have to pay for Marvel Legends. And some of the choice characters, you're not gonna find a Hawkeye. I mean, I know he's got some paint problems and stuff, but you're not gonna find a Hawkeye as cheap as this. At least not one that hasn't been chewed up. So if you can just say that's some dirt or something, then you know. Not to dog Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends are still the standard. One complaint I do have about Marvel Legends though is this. Look at this Deadpool, and this Deadpool is on the shelves right now, on the shelves, and this Deadpool is not cheap. And look at the guns. Look at the lack of detail. I mean, look at the swords are okay, but the guns are all molded in one hunk of plastic, one color. Yet look at the accessory from ZD Toys, and look at the paint. There's a bright silver for this bladed edge. There's a steel gray for the sword. Then there's black and gold. You have all of this detailing that is so hard to find on Marvel Legends. You'll pay all this money for a Marvel Legends figure, and you'll get an accessory that looks like garbage. I mean, the Stormbreaker here, it's just one little piece. I mean, you can find example after example of the lack of detail given to the accessories of Marvel Legends figures. Here's another example. Look at Mystique's weapons. All one color. Gold, too. And I mean, they could have done something. They could have put a little bit of paint. And that's always puzzled me about why Marvel Legends would make such just fantastically done action figures, yet give you such lousy props or lousy accessories. Look at Genisville. Fairly recent figure, again, and look at his gun. It's the same as Mystique. It's just like molded in this cheap gold plastic. It's also cheap plastic that would crack, so you have to be really careful with it. So that's one of the problems I've always sort of had with Marvel Legends is how cheap they go on the accessories. See that? So if ZD Toys is making better quality accessories, now, yeah, this doesn't lend well to that argument, but the Thanos definitely does. Now, I think the the color of his armor may be incorrect in the movie. You know, it was brown, but here's the deal: either A, paint it; B, just assume it's Thanos on a different day with a different set of armor. Have some imagination. Besides, he's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, and he wasn't wearing this one in that scene either. So, I mean, I think this is just Thanos on a different day. I really think these figures are good. I really do. I think that if you can save money, and I've already found the joy of buying, you know, cheaper Lego minifigures or Lego like minifigures for characters that I wanted. Like another thing on Black Widow here is, do be careful when you get these to make sure that, like, obviously Hawkeye has this Balkans joint here, but I'm not so sure if Black Widow does, and I'm a little nervous about testing it because I don't want to rip her arm off. So do be cautious about the joints, and I'm not actually sure if she does, if she only has a swivel joint in there too. That's another reason she might, but I want to be very careful and not like rip this figure in half or rip the arm off. Another thing is, yeah, the head doesn't really move, but that's because of the hair. It's also kind of a hard plastic. Whereas, like with the Marvel Legends, no, I mean, the Dazzler's hair is it's just as hard though. She does have that different joint in the head though that allows more movement, and this doesn't. And the head joints, it's not there's not nearly as much movement in the head as Marvel Legends. So, I mean, these are all things you need to consider. This is your choice. I mean, this is for your collection. So some of you I know wouldn't even think of doing this, but I'm more like, I like the characters and I want to display them. I'm not so, crazy about what company made it. So for me, they're fine. They're straight on my shelf. I got all the core Avengers now. The only Avengers I'm missing are Falcon, Vision, Scarlet Witch, Black Panther, and War Machine, and Winter Soldier. Then I have like all of them. So and this Doctor Strange looks great. I mean, I really like it. That really looks like Benedict Cumberbatch. The I mean, Black Widow, yeah, it's a comic book head on a movie body. That kind of bums me out. But I was at Books a Million yesterday and I saw the new Black Widow figure, and I mean, it was like 20 something bucks. And I doubt it's ever going to end up in a bargain store, which is, if you watch my channel, you know I usually only buy my figures at bargain stores. I like to save money. So, I don't think that the Red Guardian or Black Widow figures are going to end up there. So, this is my only Black Widow for now in this scale. So, unless they make a Scarlett Johansson face, this is what I have. But some Marvel Legends figures in my book, could have been a whole lot better too. Like, one figure that I was not super impressed with was Wasp, and for mainly, and I said this before, is look at her head. It just looks funky how that goes. I mean, it looks okay like this, but if you move it up, it's got that strange, weird, long chin thing. So I mean, so in some ways, I mean, these aren't much worse. And as far as bad paint, if any of you have bought Genisville, you might be noticing by now that although he is very cool looking, he's starting to get sticky. And that's because the paint they used for Genisville didn't fully dry correctly. So he feels sticky to the touch, which is disturbing because that makes me worried that he's going to start getting dust on him and stuff. So, which is a shame because he's such a cool looking figure with all the stars on him and everything. But, I mean, I don't know what to do about that. Stick him in the freezer for a while? I don't know. um, can you get these in good poses? Definitely. Facial sculpts are decent. There's like to extend that arm. I mean, you can get these in great poses. I can probably make some little arrows to put in there. I mean, that'd be like the easiest thing in the world to do. And now I've got a decent Hawkeye for my Avengers. It's hard to get a good Hawkeye. I mean, they're expensive. If you can find one if you can ever find one less than full price, I mean, you're lucky. But the one I really, really like is Thanos. This is the one that I am really impressed with. I've always been sort of obsessed with the whole Infinity Gauntlet thing. And for a long time, and then I really thought, man, the only way you could get a good Thanos is to build a figure. And I just didn't want to spend $100 or more for something I could get for 20. So that's my tip of the week. If you want to fill out your Marvel characters and even find some Marvel characters that aren't even available in the US, like a Tom Holland Peter Parker, or an unmasked Mysterio, or some others, go to eBay, type in ZD, 2 letters, ZD Toys. Type that in and just look around. Go lowest price in shipping. Select no packaging unless you want the packaging, and order away. Get yourself a Thanos. Get yourself a Doctor Strange, and save yourself some money. And have on your shelf, have all your Avengers at a fraction of the cost that it would have been. Yeah, they have Iron Man, they have Captain America, they have Thor. They have all the characters. So, at least the major ones, and a few that we can't get here. So, that's my tip. And use it or not, it's up to you. It just depends on the type of collector you are. And I will be reviewing some more of these that you haven't seen in upcoming videos. Tell you how good the figure is, or how bad. Like, I think everyone generally likes this one, this Deadpool. So, anyway, and let me just give you a demonstration of how you can use the stand a little bit. In some of the poses you can, like, some of the like cooler Black Widow poses, like in middle of her fights or whatever. These stands are pretty awesome. I mean, I kind of wish Marvel Legends would include something like this. And if you got them all, you would have a really handsome collection with these really pretty stands. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this video up for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate all the feedback on my last Jack the Ripper video. and I'm got some more like that coming up. So stay tuned. And I thank you for all the comments and nice support. Everything means a lot to me. So please subscribe if you haven't done so, and click the bell icon, and give me a thumbs up. All those things help my channel. And right now, like I never put the mid-run ads in my videos as they come out. So to make your experience better, and to help me keep doing that, just subscribe and like and interact with the channel. Let's keep it as cheap and as free as possible. So I really appreciate you very much. So anyway, until next time, bye.